Today we're going to be replacing the distributor cap, the rotor, and the spark plug wires, the ignition wires on this Mercruiser 7.4 MPI. I'll walk you through the steps here real quick. So this is the new Quicksilver distributor cap. There's a lot of other brands as well. I prefer to stay OEM. Quicksilver is the brand that Mercruiser uses. Here's the distributor cap, the new one here. Quicksilver, it's going to be part number 8M6001253. The new distributor cap, part number is 808483T. And the ignition wires, the box shows black wires, but these are the red wires. Part number is 84816608Q68. Now this one is a 1999 Mercruiser 7.4 MPI, so for your particular motor, make sure that you look up the part numbers and get the correct parts that you need. The distributor cap is held on by these two little screws on either side. They have a hex head on them, and they're also a very small Phillips in the middle of that, so you can use a hex or a Phillips to get to them. What I like to do, you can see at the back of the motor, here's the old distributor cap with the plug wires in there. What I like to do is make sure that you know the positioning based on the old distributor cap, which direction this is going to go, rotate it correctly, and then once you figure out the positioning, because it is very easy to get these wires mixed up and put them back in the wrong place, what I like to do is take them off one by one, put them onto the new distributor cap while it's sitting out loose, and then just leave it out back, and then disconnect the old one, take it out along with the rotor, and then install the new pieces. That way none of the wires get put into the wrong place, so you don't have any misfires or incorrect ignition sequence, and it's the easiest way to go without making a mistake. So the first thing I like to do before moving any of the wires or doing any work on a distributor cap is locate the screws. On this one it's going to be right here and right down here on either side, and then this flat side on the distributor cap is actually facing towards the back, so it's going to be positioned this way to be the same as the old one. So first, before I do anything, I like to unscrew or at least break loose the two screws on either side. Don't necessarily have to take the cap off, just break them loose and make sure that you can actually get it off. Sometimes those screws get frozen in there and it requires a lot more work. So first we're going to do that, make sure our screws come loose, and then start work towards replacing the cap with the new one. So I was not able to get the screws broken loose with a Phillips screwdriver, so what I'm going to use is just a ratchet, and that way we get a little bit better grip on the outside of those, and it should come off a lot easier. And this one is looks like a 7/32 socket size. Depending on what manufacturer and what distributor cap you have, that might be different, but for this one it's a 7/32. Alright, so we got the cap loose. Make sure you've got both sides loose enough to where it's coming off and past the threads. So now we're going to move over the cables one by one to the new distributor cap. In this case, I am replacing the plug wires as well, but I still want to make sure that the firing order is correct. So I am going to move all the wires over to the new cap, get it installed along with the new rotor, and then we'll go back and do the wires afterwards. Alright, it's a little bit of a mess, we can clean them up later, but got all the wires transferred over to the new cap. Just leave it off here to the side. And now we're going to take the old cap off. That's the old one there. And the rotor, we're going to have to get that off, and then we'll put the new portions, the new pieces on. If you want to see what it looks like down in here, that's it. That's your distributor shaft and the distributor and everything down there at the bottom. That's your rotor. Your cap was on top. And the other important piece is this guy here, is your coil. If your coil's bad, you want to get that replaced as well. It's a little bit more expensive, but worth the fix and not getting stuck out on the water. Alright, we've got that off, and it looks like the shaft a good bit of rust, surface rust, but all okay, and we can clean it up. So I'm going to go ahead and take some steel wool to that, clean it up, take some alcohol, make sure all the debris is off, and then we'll put the new rotor and cap back on. Alright, we've got that all cleaned up. We've got the new rotor on. The rotor just pushes in. Let me show you the old one here. There's a notch inside there. You can see that little rod. You have to make sure that's pointing in the right direction to fit onto the groove on the post. And then it's just a press, right? You press it down gently and it pops into place. And now we're going to get the new distributor cap on there and lined up. Just place it over like so. Make sure you get it in a perfectly vertical position before you try to put it into, jam it into place, and then it should just fall right into place. And now the screws, this one here and this one here, we're going to tighten them up. And before I get any further with the changing out the wires or anything, after this is tightened down, I'm going to crank the boat up one time, make sure it starts correctly, there's nothing off, and then we'll go through and change the wires. That way we're making only one change at a time. Alright, we've got the cap back on and tightened. So we're going to put the coil wire back on and then give it a go. Make sure that it starts up correctly. So putting the coil wire on and go around on all the wires and make sure they're pushed in. Alright, so all that's good. We're going to crank her up, make sure it works, and then cut the battery back off and replace the wires. Alright, we've got our lanyard plugged into the kill switch. I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot here, make sure everything works. Yep, all set. So the cap and the rotor are good to go, and we're going to move on to the wires. So we're going to do the plug wires one at a time, again, so that we don't get them mixed up. This is one of the old ones I just took off, and what we're going to do is match it up with one of the new ones as far as length goes. They might be off by a quarter inch here or there, but get the one that's closest in size, and then we'll route it in the same location as before, plug it in, and then move on to the next one. One other thing you'll notice, there's orange ends and black ends. The orange ends go to the spark plug on the engine block. The black ends go to the distributor cap. Alright, got all of the new plug wires in, routed down where the factory ones were, in the same locations. Coil plug is on. I didn't show you before, but just so you know where they are, the plug wires on either side of the engine are down underneath the exhaust manifolds. There's one, you can see the other, and so on and so on. It's hard to get all of them in a shot here. That's all four on this side of the motor. They're not too hard to get to. Depends how your engine bay is laid out. And if you've got a lot of stuff on either side, you might have to remove a battery or something like that. On this boat, I've got 3 batteries, but luckily, these are the 2 on this side. Luckily, I've got enough space to work around it and get to all of them pretty easily. So that's it. Now we're going to start the motor one more time, make sure everything's good, and we should be all finished. Alright, we've got our kill switch lanyard plugged in. I'm going to go ahead and give it a little start. And that's it. And it actually is starting up quite a bit faster without hesitation than before with the new cap rotors, plug wires, and it got new spark plugs a couple of months ago, so it is all freshened up and ready to go for the next season. Hope you enjoyed the video.